Good evening, everyone. Give me a thumbs up if all of you can hear me clearly. I see one thumbs up. So I'm assuming everyone can hear me clearly. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Susan Alexander, and I am the Senior Learning Specialist at Biocon Academy. What we're going to be looking at in today's webinar is teamwork, as you can see on your screen, how to work smarter together. So, how many of you think this is important? Again, put up your hands. Okay, I'm getting a thumbs up. So I'm assuming that's a hands up. Yes, so teamwork is very, very important, which is why we have chosen this webinar topic. And I think it should be helpful to all of you who are probably not very sure of how a team works, or some of you probably are already working, and this might help you enhance your working style a little bit. Yes, so we'll get into the session. So, the agenda of today's session, the first point, understand teamwork in the workplace. As you can see, workplace is mentioned. So it's very, very important because there are teams in a lot of places, right? In competitions, in sports. And let's come to the workplace and let's see what are some of the aspects that we should focus on, that we should understand better so we can be the best version of ourselves in the team that we belong to. The second point is identify the key elements of effective teams. Again, I want all of you to focus on effective teams. It's not just teams, effective teams, meaning your team is efficient. Whatever tasks are given, whatever goals are given, you all are efficiently succeeding at it. And that's what we're going to see. What are the key elements that are involved in having a successful, efficient team? The third part of the agenda is apply practical approaches to common team challenges, right? So practical approaches, again, something that y'all can use from tomorrow or, whenever you go back to work, something that you can practice and probably work on yourself so that your team benefits from your efficiency and productivity. The last point is practice simple habits to strengthen teamwork. Now, this will work very well for you and the team you belong to. So let's look at the next slide. Now, for this, so this is going to be sort of an interactive session. So I would like you to send all the answers in the chat box and I'll take a look at it. This question, what is one word that you associate with teamwork so far? Whether you have not entered the workforce, you're already working, you've been in the workforce for some time. What is that one word that you associate when you hear teamwork? Please send it in the chat box. Productivity, great. Cooperation, awesome. We'll wait for 2, 3 more words because it looks like you'll have really good suggestions or words. Unity, very, very important. Respecting each other, yes. Teamwork means work together on a project, yes. Definitely work together on the project is the main goal, but how we work is very, very important. Patience, coordination again, communication, effective communication, time management, productivity. All of you have amazing answers. So it's quite exciting to have you all a part of the webinar. Okay, we'll continue with the next part. Yes, so teamwork is not about being perfect or always agreeing. It's about learning how to work well with others over time. So I think whatever y'all have mentioned over here sort of has an influence in this point that's mentioned. Teamwork is not about being perfect or always agreeing. to what is being said, right? It's about learning how to work well with others over time because, as you all know, a team involves more than one person. So the last sentence is very, very important. How well you work with other people is very important. Thank you very much for your answers. We're going to move on. What does a team really mean at work? Now, there are four things that we're going to look at. Let's look at the first one. Shared goals. Okay, so what do we mean by shared goals? Everyone is working towards the same outcome. So just say yes if you all agree with this point that everyone in a team, say a team of 5 people, are working towards the same goal. Yes, Praveen, you say yes. Salavadi Ishwaran also says yes. Thank you very much. And you all are absolutely right, especially in the workplace. I think in a team, we all work towards the same goal, right? So that point is clear. Second one, clear ownership. Each person knows what they are responsible for. Now, in an effective team, each person knows what exactly their role is in the team. Now, when that role is not very clear, what happens? You don't have a goal. You don't know what to work on to, sort of work on the shared goals that is there, right? So, clarity in the role and taking ownership of that is extremely important for every individual that belongs in a team. Interdependent work. One person's work affects another person. Let's just take an example of a relay race. You know, if the first person, usually there are 4 participants or 4 people in a team in a relay race. If the first person is a bit slow, the last person has trouble catching up with the other teams, right? So that's exactly how a team in the workplace also functions. Now, if one person is not as efficient as the other people in the team, that sort of influences the success of the entire team's output. So that's very important for us to understand. And the last point, collective accountability. What is collective accountability? Success and failure belong to the team, not just individuals. Now, it's very important to know that if the team succeeds, you can't take all the credit for it, right? Like I mentioned already, in a relay race, if the team wins, it's because each person did their best, was efficient enough. So now one person can't take the credit for the entire team's success. The same goes with your team in the workplace as well. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So let's look at very, very important aspect. Team versus group. Now, what is a team and what is a group? Right? So let's look at the definition over here of a team. A team is people work together towards a shared goal that we've already seen. Tasks are interdependent. Again, that's something we've already seen. Accountability is shared. Success or failure affects everyone. All this we've seen because we're looking at teamwork. Now let's look at what a group is. People work alongside each other, but not necessarily interdependent. It can be independent work, but they work alongside each other. So you can call that a group, but not necessarily interdependent, right? Individuals are accountable for their own work. Unlike a team in a group, individuals are accountable for just their own work, right? Success or failure is personal in a group. I want you all to give me examples of a team now. Just we'll get 2, 3 examples for a team, maybe 2, 3 examples for a group to properly understand what it is. Yes? For a team, you can also mention, a sales team. You can mention a basketball team. Yes, for a group, I want to see, yes, thank you very much, Sonika. She says cricket team. That's a great example. Football team, cricket team. Sutanu says football team. Yes. Now, can we look at examples of a group? Because team, I think we sort of have understood to some extent now. What is a group? What are examples of a group? I'm okay with even, yeah, drug discovery group. Yes. Why is drug discovery a group and not a team? Good group example in classroom in college. Yes, very good again. That's a great example. Now, even in college, we have different groups, right? Now, everyone's not working towards the same goal, doesn't have this group does not have shared accountability, right? You are working on your own individual work, individual success, and individual rewards, right? It's not something that depends on the team's shared goals or success. Yes, thank you very much for giving me the answers, everyone. Let's move on. Yes. So now, very importantly, let's look at what is the difference between a team in a college and a team in a workplace, right? In a college, you have shared roles, flexible deadlines, right? When you are studying in college, deadlines don't matter so much because the next point is grades are the outcome. So now, when the grades are the outcome, it all depends on you and your success and everything. So, teams in college honestly don't really have shared accountability when it comes to the final outcome. Now let's look at teams in a workplace. The reason why we're looking at this is because many of us are just transitioning from colleges to the workplace. And what we understand from how a team functions in a college can be different when you enter the workplace. And that's exactly why we're looking at this. Yes. So let's look at what exactly are teams in a workplace. Clear ownership, like we've been talking about it for some time now. Real deadlines. Now, real deadlines is because it influences the business impact. Now, when we're talking about business impact, business itself means a transaction of mostly money, right? Now, your deadlines will be taken a bit more seriously because if you don't take your deadline seriously, it could impact the business. Now, if it impacts the business, the entire team is not very efficient and it might impact a bigger, you know, team that's involved, right? You are probably a part of a bigger organization. So if you miss your deadlines, maybe that will be impacted in turn. And that's something that we should understand and know the importance of the deadlines that are given when we are in a team in the workplace as compared to teams in a college. So which is why this comparison is given to you, because like I mentioned, many of you must be transitioning from colleges to the workplace or going to transition, which is why y'all are a part of this webinar. So I hope we understand the difference between the teams and how they function in colleges and how they will function in the workplace. So there is a question over there. Have you ever felt responsible for an outcome even when you were not the only one working on it? Give me a yes if you felt that. Yes. Okay. So it's good to know that many of you feel like you are responsible for an outcome even when you are not the only one working on it. So this shows, again, back to the point that in a team, it's not just one person, right? It's very good to feel responsible for it, because that's what will drive you to work towards the, for the goal of the team to be accomplished. Okay, now this is what is the answer to the previous question, and many of you said yes to interdependence. Now, interdependence, as sometimes, as daunting or scary as it might sound, it is what is sort of the foundation of a team, especially in the workplace. In a team, your work does not stand alone. What you do affects others, and what others do affects you. Now, give me a thumbs up if y'all agree to this. Yes, I see one. I see thumbs ups. So, it is true, right? And this is exactly what interdependence is. When what you do affects another person's work, and what another person does affects your work, right? There's an example right over here. You may finish a task on time, but if someone else's input is delayed, the overall outcome is still impacted. Now, again, I cannot emphasize any more that it is very important to understand the shared accountability that we have when it comes to, achieving the goals in a team, right? So even if you do all your work fine and you think according to you that you've done your best, if another person may not do it as well as you, the outcome may not be the same. So this shows us it's very important for all of the people in a team to have the same outlook on what the goal should be, what the understanding of the task is, and the process of it also. Like I mentioned, why is this important? Understanding this early helps you work more confidently in teams. You can't just say, "Oh, my job is done. I'm done. I'm safe over here. I'm done with everything that I had to do, and rest is for the other people to figure out." That's not exactly the attitude that would work when you are in a team, especially an efficient team, right? Like I said, it depends on every single person, every single individual that's in a team. Okay, it encourages you to ask for clarity, communicate early, and support others. Like I just mentioned, it doesn't just depend on you because success is rarely individual at work. It's basically what I just said, right? So we'll move on to the next part. Now let's look at the core elements of effective teams, right? First one is role clarity. We did talk about it a little bit before. Communication that helps, not overwhelms. Consistency and reliability. We'll take a look at it soon. I'm just reading it out, introducing it to y'all. Psychol- Psychological safety with accountability. Now, by now, I think y'all are probably used to hearing these words accountability, ownership, effective communication. These are very common words that are used in especially topics like this, or topics that involve more than one person, interpersonal relations, right? So it's very, very important to focus on all these words and understanding what it truly means. First one, role clarity. Initially, in the beginning of this webinar, I did mention this role clarity. Teams work better when people know what they are responsible for and what they are not. Okay, so I want some of you, whoever, can give me an example of what happens when the roles are unclear, when you don't exactly know what is expected of you. What is the challenge that it poses when there is no role clarity? Just a word, yes, delays. Thank you very much, Ram Gopal. You'll have delays in the final output outcome. Yes, delays in the overall work time. Yes, exactly. It will lead to problems in the process. Excellent. That's exactly what it is. Okay, before that, I also want to know when the roles are not clear, right? What should you do? First is identifying that your role is not very clear. But when it is not clear, what exactly will you do? conflict in group will, in team. I know you meant team, but conflict in teams happen, yes. But when your roles are not clear, when it's unclear to you, right? What exactly will you do to make the situation better, or focus on the betterment of the team? What will you do? Like I said, the first part is identifying that your role is unclear. Discuss it with the team. Yes. So the word that I was looking for is question or clarify. In my previous webinars, if y'all have attended it, clarification is very, very important, right? So what you need to understand is you first need to know what your role is and go and clarify with the relevant person. Is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this what that is expected of me? Understand it clearly, and then you'll know where exactly to focus on and what work to put in. Right? Let's move on. Second, communication that helps, not overwhelms. Now, most often, for example, when you get these ads on TV about insurances or, some finance related things, the last part will be super fast, where they explain all the different things that you should focus on, and you should be careful of, and things like that, right? So that's just communication that overwhelms you because there's just so much to read. You when you read the clause of a contract, for example, right? It's just too much information and sometimes could lead to you being overwhelmed. As when it comes to a team, you will make sure that whatever communication happens is not overwhelming. As it's mentioned over here, effective communication is about clarity, not volume. It's not necessary for you to say a lot of things to sound serious, right? To the point, it should be clear, and the other person should understand. Because when you talk about communication, it doesn't just involve one person. I can just sit over here and just tell you a lot of things and go, right? Communication involves two parties. I should talk to a person and that person should receive. I should send and the other person should receive the message that I'm trying to send. Only then communication actually happens. So same over here. Sorry, same over here. Communication that helps and not overwhelms. So it's not enough that you just keep talking. You should make sure that the receiver also receives what you're trying to say. Okay? Things to discuss, especially when you're in a team. Say there's a task that's given. So these are some of the things that you will want to clarify or discuss with the rest of the team or the person who is the senior in the team, right? When to message, when to call, when to document. Now, again, give me a thumbs up if you all think these are some of the important parts of communication or things that you need to know and ask when you are going to start a particular task. Great. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up, so I'm glad that we are all on the same page. Yes? Now I want you to tell me what causes more confusion for you. Is it when to call, when to message, or when to document? Basically, the message, the call, the document. Which is most confusing for you? Just send me the word in the chat box. Which aspect sort of gets you confused? Call. Sonika says call. Making calls without follow-up documentation. That's very specific. Thank you very much for that answer, Gargi. When to call, right? Yes. So the reason why I asked this question is all three are important aspects, especially when you're going to start a task, right? I just wanted to understand which aspect is most difficult, and it looks like the calling part is most confusing or most daunting, right? We'll move on. The third aspect is consistency and reliability, right? Consistency means doing the same thing over a long period of time. That is being consistent. If you are consistent, then you will automatically become reliable, right? So it's very important that it's over here being reliable depends on how consistent you are. It's not enough that you finish the task once and you're successful and it's done. You have to make sure that it keeps happening so your team members can rely on you and can trust you, right? Teams will value people who follow through, even if they are still learning. At least your team will know that you are someone who wants to do better, who wants to do better for the team, right? So, consistency and reliability is very, very important. Consistency also helps you when there is one off time when you can't do your best, but people will remember that you are someone who's been doing your best all this while, and this is just those one off situations. So it's very important when you are a part of a team to be consistent so people can rely on you. And this in turn affects your personal image, right? Everything influences each other when it comes to these soft skills, right? So it's very important that we understand what exactly is consistency, what exactly is reliability. I hope it's clear. Okay, let's move on to the fourth and the last point. Psychological safety with accountability. Now, this is a long phrase over there. Can you tell me what exactly do you understand by this? There is a definition given below, or like a description given below. But I also want to know what all of you think when you see psychological safety with accountability. What do we mean by that? Because we have the word accountable twice, once in the title, once in the description as well. So, quickly, what exactly do we personally understand from this? I have given a description, yes. But until now, what did we think psychological safety was? Everyone has a say and it is heard. That's great. Everyone has a say and that it's being heard. It's not just enough that everyone has a say, but also it being heard is very, very important because otherwise the person might lose confidence. The other person might lose trust, right, in themselves more than anything. So it's very important that we lift each other up in a team, right, for each other to work, be our best version of ourselves. So it in turn influences the success of the team. Feeling validated, yes, when we're not afraid of making mistakes or asking for clarity. Exactly. They are aware of what they're doing, make the platform more comfortable for discussion and place our view without any second thought. Exactly. You shouldn't be second guessing whether what you're going to say is something that matters or will it be something that's silly to share, right? These are some of the thoughts that cross our mind when we are in a meeting and we hesitate to speak up during a meeting, right? Because you might think, oh, maybe my point is a bit silly. I don't want to share it, right? Psychological safety is when you don't feel that, when your team makes you feel comfortable to share whatever you are thinking, right? As long as obviously it's appropriate in the setting, yes, and it's relevant to what is being discussed. Motivate the one who does mistakes and allow him or her to grow. Exactly. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's look at some common challenges at work. First one, unclear instructions. Now, this is a huge, huge challenge when it comes to work. So now if when your communication becomes the volume is a lot, right? That time your instructions can be unclear. What happens is when the other person does not clarify these instructions, this will in turn influence the success of the task, right? Last minute changes. Now, this is not in our control. But that's something that is a challenge at work, and definitely something that influences the final output of the team, right? Feedback that comes too late. Now, what's the point if the feedback comes after the task is completed? Then how will you put the feedback to good use, right? When the feedback is too late, also sometimes you feel like you could have done better if only you would have known what to work on before, right? Feeling hesitant to speak up. I think I have mentioned it before. That is because you won't have the psychological safety in a team, right? That's when you feel hesitant to speak up, right? So these are some of the challenges that you might face at work, which will in turn affect the efficiency of your team, right? Let's look at the scenario given below. You are asked to take ownership of a task, but expectations are not fully clear. Deadlines shift, feedback is delayed, and you feel responsible for the outcome. What do you think contributed to this situation? Whatever we've been discussing, right? So this is the outcome. But what exactly do you think would have, contributed to the situation? I'll give you an example. Unclear expectations could be one of the reasons why you feel responsible for the outcomes, and the deadline shifts, the feedback is delayed, all that. Something like unclear expectations, no defined deadline. So what exactly will impact the efficiency of the team or the outcome of the task itself? Like I told you, unclear expectations is one example. Some answer like that. Okay, let's take a look. There is lack of communication. Excellent. Assumptions instead of confirmation. Delayed or inconsistent feedback. Amazing. That's exactly what it is. I'm looking for answers like this, and I think we're all on the same page. That's great. Maybe two more answers and then I'll move on. There's also this saying, I think y'all would have heard, too many cooks spoil the broth. So basically, imagine you're making sambar, right? And more than you, there are about five people making that sambar. Now you have added salt already. What if the other person does not know you've added the salt and adds it again? It ruins the sambar, right? So too many stakeholders also cause a confusion and can lead to the situation that y'all are seeing right here. Okay, lack of decision making authority. Exactly. Now, that is the opposite of what I just said. Either too many stakeholders or no one takes accountability. Nobody wants to make decisions. Nobody wants to solve the problems, right? So now we will look at practical skills that you can start using immediately, whenever you are going to be a part of a team, or if you're already a part of a team, right? Seeking clarity early. Always remember that your questions are not silly or dumb, right? It's always better to clarify whatever doubts you have, because if you don't do that and that doubt still remains, what happens is later on the result of it might be much bigger and can influence much bigger things, right? So it's better when you get clarifications early on. No doubt is silly, right? So please go ahead and speak up and ask a lot of questions, whatever questions come to your mind, so you can do your work well. And the other people on the team or in the team also don't, face consequences because of you not doing your tasks efficiently. So here is how you can put it across by mail, or, even when you're speaking to someone you are seeking clarification from. Just to confirm my understanding, I will be handling X and the timeline is Y. Why is this important to ask? Because sometimes what we interpret may not be what exactly is being conveyed, right? So this is an easy way to maybe type it in a mail if you are communicating via mail. right? Or even in a meeting, you can ask, so this is what I understand. This is what is expected, and the timeline is this, and the deadline is this. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This will avoid so many misunderstandings and miscommunications. Do not hesitate to ask this. And this is, it doesn't really make you sound silly or anything, right? Because you are seriously asking for a clarification. Following up thoughtfully. Written follow ups help align everyone and reduce misunderstandings. So, say there are 5 parts to a task, right? When you finish each part, it's better to keep everyone who's involved in the task, aligned with what is happening. So, if in case there is some sort of misalignment, they will let you know in step one itself and not when you reach step five. So, it saves everybody a lot of time and also impacts the final outcome. Clarity comes with clarifying. Exactly. So you get more clarity when you clarify. So this is also sort of a part of clarifying, right? You are letting everyone know that, listen, I'm done with the first part of the task. Please correct me if there's something else that needs to be done differently, and I will do it. So my step two will not be impacted. You are saving a lot of time if you follow this process. So these are different ways in which you can ask or you can follow up thoughtfully, right? Based on our conversation, my understanding is that priority is A and the focus should be on A. Please let me know if this aligns. Now, this is just an example of how you can, tell people that this is exactly what you're doing. And if there is any change or misalignment, please let me know. Okay? So let's move on to the next part. Managing expectations. Updating early, especially when things are delayed, it builds trust. Let's look at the examples so we understand it better. First one, quick update. I'm waiting on inputs from X. This may push my timeline by a day. I will confirm by tomorrow. Now, what happens is the person who's the receiver of this will be aware that they might not get what they are expecting tomorrow. There has been a slight delay, and they will also be prepared and they will do things accordingly. So the communication channels are clear, right? I underestimated the effort required here, and I will need an extra day to complete this properly. Let me know if this affects any of the next steps. Honesty is very, very important. Underestimated the effort is being honest. Sometimes we do overestimate. See, when you overestimate, it's still fine. But when you underestimate it, it does lead to other consequences, right? So being honest is very, very important. So if you find yourself in such a situation, don't hesitate to, try to finish the task, because that will in turn impact the efficiency of the work that you put in. So be honest if it's something that you can't deliver in the given time, in the decided time. I have 2 priorities due this week. Could you help me confirm which one should take precedence? Very, very important. Now you have too much on your plate, right? And you don't know what exactly to do first, what is important, what is not. Please clarify it. It saves a lot of time and saves a lot of effort for you and the other person involved. So this is a very, I really like the last example, because when you have a lot of priorities, it's always important to understand which is of highest priority and which can wait a little bit, so you can shift your focus on something that's absolutely required. Okay. So I want you to answer. Now you can answer A or B, right? There's asking questions early on or sharing something that may take longer. Basically, letting the other person know that there might be a delay in the whatever task that is being assigned. Which is more uncomfortable? We have B, sharing that something may take longer. A, we also have asking questions early. We have 2 for B, sharing something that may take longer. Again, we have a lot of A's. Asking questions early. Now, there could be some of the reasons why this is uncomfortable is because one, we truly don't know what kind of questions to ask when the instructions aren't very clear, right? And the reason why I've given both over here is both are important. Both are necessary when it comes to functioning in a team efficiently. It's not this or that. I just wanted to know which is more uncomfortable. Yeah, I think we have equal number for A and B. Asking questions early is very, very important. However, uncomfortable it makes you. Once you do it once, twice, thrice, the fourth time it will become a habit, right? And that time you will understand how much time it saves you and how much energy it saves you, right? Sharing that something may take longer. Personally, I feel like this may be a little more uncomfortable than the first one, because you have promised to deliver something at a given time, and when you can't do that, that can make you a bit uncomfortable. But it's always better to let them know before, so they are also aware. Sharing that something may take longer can seem like poor performance, even when it's realistic. Exactly, Gargi. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It you may feel like it reflects on your work ethic, and that doesn't feel very nice. But that's something that you should get comfortable with, because some of the reasons why that doesn't happen doesn't completely depend on you. It could be other reasons also. So don't hesitate to keep the other person involved in the task, also aware of what exactly is happening. This again comes to clarity. Okay? Okay. So let's look at some of the small habits that strengthen teams. Clarify next steps at the end of the meeting. So at the end of the meeting, you can say, so what I understand is next, we need to do this. And once that's done, we can move on to this. At least the next 2, 3 steps, because we are going to have follow-ups and everything else for the alignment. But at the end of a meeting where you discuss a latest project or a task, it's always important to sum it up, and there's a summary of whatever was being discussed, so we know that everyone's on the same page, right? Shares progress updates regularly. This, like I mentioned before, regular updates are very, very important, so that again, if you do something wrong in the step one of the task, you will know, so your other steps are not impacted. Give feedback focused on work and not people. Again, this is very, very important to separate the person from the task, right? This person is just doing the task. If you don't like the person, doesn't mean you will also not like the kind of work that's being done, right? This helps you in many aspects, separating the person from the task, right? Acknowledge others' contributions. When a team is good, you know a team is good and efficient when they are supportive of each other, and they acknowledge each other's contributions. Like I said, it's a shared responsibility, right? So it's very important to acknowledge each other's contributions for the morale of the group to boost, right? Okay, now I want you to answer this. We are nearing the end of our session. Type one habit you would like to practice more intentionally at work. After whatever we've discussed so far, what is that one habit that you think you need to put in effort and work on at work? Consistency. Yes. Spurti, consistency is very, very important. Like I mentioned, clarify next step and seek guidance when required. Very true. Make the work before deadline, asking questions to be more clear, communicating risks or delays early, and confirming priorities when deadlines shift. Very good, amazing answers. That's exactly what we need to focus on. Do my work and help my team to make it fast and easy. Yes, do your best so the other people in your team also benefit from it. Yes, being organized. Very good. Everything influences each other. So now let's quickly look at a quick recap of whatever we've been discussing, right? Now you can give me the answer for this. When does teamwork usually start to feel stressful at work? Now you have four options. Just give me the whichever option it is. When does teamwork usually start to feel stressful at work? I'm getting a lot of B. Okay. Two more answers and then we look at the answer. Okay, everyone's saying B. Let's take a look if that's the right answer. Great. So when does teamwork usually start to feel stressful at work? When roles and expectations are unclear, like we've been discussing all this while. Let's move on to the next question. Which situation is most likely to create confusion in a team? Okay, we're getting a lot of C. Let's take a look at. Amazing. It's like y'all already know all the answers. Okay, great. Tasks shared without clear ownership, not knowing who is responsible for the given task, right? So this can be solved if you are someone who asks for clarity, right? So like I said, everything is dependent on each other. Next question. What builds trust in a team over time? Being consistently reliable is what I'm getting. There you go. Right answer. Why are early updates important in teams over time? Again, C. I thought if I put everything in the option C, y'all may get confused, but very good. It's option D, to help others plan and adjust, right? Why are early updates important? So if you let the other person know that there might be a delay in what they're expecting, they can plan and adjust accordingly, right? So my plan worked, so option D is the right answer over here. Even though there might be very slight differences between the options, it's option D. Okay. Oops, sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Which action helps reduce misunderstandings after meetings? I think some of you might have already seen it. It's option A, sending a short written recap. Again, very, very important to just let the other person know that this is what I understood from the meeting. Please correct me if I'm wrong and mention whatever you've understood from the tasks that has been explained. Okay? Okay, now let's look at the key takeaways. This is what we discussed today. Teamwork is a skill that improves with practice and awareness. I think all of you who've been a part of this session, the second aspect, awareness, I think all of you are focusing on that, and that's a great job. I think you should be proud of the fact that you want to be aware and you want to do your best. So, great job. Okay, and practice. The one, like I said, once, twice, you keep doing it, it'll become a habit, and that'll only work well for you. Clear roles and communication reduce most team related stress, like we've been discussing so far. Being reliable builds trust over time, sort of a similar thing. Asking questions and sharing updates early. It's great that y'all are a part of the session because it's constantly being repeated. And so you know that this is very, very important. Most team challenges are solved through clarity, not conflict. Yeah. If you have a question, ask for clarity. That's the most important thing, right? You can contribute positively to a team regardless of your designation. Okay. Yes, let's look at the last. So 1 week practice, right? Whatever this we've seen in session, in this coming week, you'll clarify expectations on one task at least, send one clear follow-up message, and share one constructive update or question, right? This will help you make it a practice and in turn be a good team player. In all these interviews, we say, I'm a great team player. So this will help you be that great team player, right? So this is what Helen Keller said. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. That's it. Thank you very much, team, for being a part of this webinar, and I hope it was helpful. If you do have any questions or any clarifications, you can ask me right now. We have about 10 minutes for that. I'm so sorry, Janvi. I won't be able to share this PPT. But if you do have any questions, you can ask right now. It's a Q&A session. We have 10 minutes for that. How to handle different team members' moods. Okay, yeah, that's a very, very good question, Rohit. That's something that we can't control. So we're only going to be focusing on what we can control. So I think if we are clear with our communication, the other person's mood should not be something that impacts your work. Okay, thank you, Gargi. Thank you for a well-structured and insightful webinar. I'm grateful for your time. Thank you, Gargi. That's very kind of you to say that. Thank you again for all of you who found this useful and helpful. Um, any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Kavisa. I'm glad it was helpful. I think we can wait for another minute for questions. If not, we can end the session. Thank you, everyone, for acknowledging that it was a good session. As long as it helped any one of you, in the current scenario. Or okay, ma'am, can you give your LinkedIn ID? You can just put my full name. I think you should get it. My name is Susan Sneha Alexander, and you can find me over there. I'm a part of the Biocon Academy group, and you can send me a request over there. Yes. I will be sharing things like this on my LinkedIn profile. So if you do have any questions, you can always ask me. So I think we're done for today's session, and I'm glad it was helpful to all of you. I hope to see you again in my next session. Yes. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great evening. Thank you, Sumit. Okay. Bye. Y'all can now leave the webinar. Thank you.